Welcome everybody to I lost the episode. What episode am I on? I believe it's 24. Yes, episode 24 of the Under 1 Million podcast. I am here with a familiar face. His name is Rama Kazi. I believe it was episode 8 where I had him on previously, but had such a good time. I had to bring him back, man. I had to bring him back for another episode. So how you doing, Rama?
I'm good, man. I'm doing well. I'm glad to be back. It's funny because it's the first time I was there for hot chicken. Now I'm here for poison. It's almost like the opposite. Like hot chicken is soul and poison is poison. Yeah,
I feel
feels
you.
good, man.
You're a man of many faces. It's all good. But I brought him back. He was, I think, the most recent. Well, obviously, I know the most recent I placed you on the list was the last week, actually. I think it was Tuesday. And that was Poison, like you said. And phenomenal EP, by the way, man. I got to say that off rip.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. That one, and we're gonna touch on this later, but essentially with this one, I feel like this was my my brainchild because I was a lot more involved on everything behind the scenes than the first go round. And we'll talk about what that means later. So.
Dope. But before we get into too much discussion, I do want to first start off with a little rest in peace to young Dolph, as I'm sure everybody's already heard the news because news travels fucking fast these days. But well, obviously, by the time you're watching this, I know you probably heard of it. They shot and killed in Memphis today, and it's just it's one of those things, man, where it's so depressing to see stuff like that, and it gets more and more depressing every single day because it seems like it happens so often now. And maybe it's just because I'm paying attention, but I don't think that's the only reason. But I did want to say that. Rest in peace to young Dolph. If anybody was a fan of his, I know you're hurting, and I was a huge fan of his, so I'm hurting myself. But yeah, big ups to the man Dolph. For sure.
Saying, man, it's crazy because I was at a wedding this weekend, and we like one of the songs that played was "Preach," and everybody knows the words. Like, I don't have a dog in this fight, but it's sad to see, man. Especially given someone's hometown.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the crazy thing. It seems to always have, and more often than not, happen right at home. You would think that wouldn't be the case, but that's how it is, and it's just very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Yeah, exactly. I know, and I worry about what's to come in these following days because all the keyboard killers are gonna come out and be talking shit. Oh well, he deserved it. He's in that lifestyle, all that stuff. And that's the worst part about it for me is just people don't know when to just step back and shut their mouth about something that they're not involved in. So I'm worried about it. It's probably happening today, like I said, if you're listening to it right now, but I'm worried about tomorrow.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm hearing some, weird reports about things that are actually happening in Memphis as retaliation or whatever, just, between, Black youngsters, grandma and, like, I think it was Yo Gotti's mama's, like, food spot, like, it's a lot, man. And it's just sad to see that, like, there can be rifts and beefs in hip hop like this that can lead to someone losing their life.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy thing to think. It's music, man, but it is people take it personally, and not that this was music related, but who knows? I don't know. I'm not even going to talk on it because I'm not trying not to get into that stuff. Just keep myself out. Yeah. But anyway, RIP Dolph, on to more positive things. Sorry for the somber intro. But yeah, man, how have you been since the last I saw you? I know you've been putting work in, but personally, where's your mind at? How are you doing?
Well, personally, man, it's like this tape is essentially a reflection, and spiritual growth that I've experienced since I've decided. It's one of those things like I decided to really go all in and bet on myself for Delusions of Grandeur, and just seeing like how it paid off, given like my background, all this stuff. It just it's been like a hero. This tape was the first song in the journey, and so good, man. Maturing, but it's like looking at differently, looking at a lot of self discovery, and it's funny that this cover behind me right here. Well, it's probably not gonna have to move real slow. So that's actually a chakra. It's the sacral chakra, the manipura, which essentially has to do with ego and like confidence and self-belief. And there's a balance between the dark side, the light side, when it comes to if it's out of balance, then you're going to experience some of the darker side, like ego problems and jealousy and all that, or and maybe digestion problems. But on the if you have it in balance, then you experience like a high level of confidence and self-belief, and just love for like those around jealousy and things like that. So I'd say a lot of me over the last few months has been in that realm of just like owning my own process and just being happy where I'm at, where field they're at, all that stuff. Been good, man.
But yeah, man, I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that's where you're at and all of that. Like I said, I love the EP. It's incredible to me. However, I do want to say it I don't want to say it threw me for a loop, but I wasn't expecting the slow down vibe to the entire thing. Each record I was waiting. I was like, all right, where's the up pace? But at the end of the day, I loved it. And it was kind of like I went into it expecting something and got something different. But in this case, I wasn't let down at all because I felt like I learned something after I listened to it, to be honest. So kudos on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. The tracks, because I feel like that is important to your point. So the first track I recorded for this was 95 Source Awards. And then I think the second one was Children of the Sun. Then it might have been, what's track number 4? Oh, okay, no, it wasn't. So it was 95 Source Awards, Children of the Sun, then I think Poison, then I think Get On, then Blue Dream. And so the last track left is 10,000 Hours, right? And I put that in there partially because, it fit with, it was like the last puzzle piece that fit perfectly, but also I felt like I needed something a little bit more like upbeat, a little bit more, like a high vibration notes and things like that, because this is a fall tape, right? I put this out. It's going to be part of kind of like this series. Like the next tape's not going to sound anything like this, but this one I wanted it to fit for the seasons. And so I felt also for the catalog, I don't really have any songs that sound like this, so I wanted to make sure, like, in 10 years when you look back on my catalog, if you are looking for like more somber, slowed down songs, I got them. And so these are more so about like the lessons I learned, as opposed to just trying to create some catchy, upbeat, something you could dance to. Even though Get On can kind of give you that. I mean, I want people to listen to these songs. Like I would say the perfect environment for this music, and I think I've told somebody this, driving through the mountains in the fall with a hot cup of like tea or coffee or something, got something rolled up, you got your boo next to you, and y'all are just cruising like on an empty road. That's the specific vibe is for.
Yo, I love listening to you describe shit like that, man. It's so it's so funny to me. You paint the best pictures, and I feel like I'm on a mountain right now driving with my boo thang and a cup of hot tea or some shit that you just said. Now I want to do that. I got to experience it.
I guarantee that's how this tape will elevate you. It's got to be in this specific environment, or at least low key, at least just in the fall. I think that's I tried to make it for the leaf color change, especially like Poison and Blue Dream. So yeah,
I feel you. And we're
Oh,
back. A little technical difficulties there, but it happens in
love it.
this Zoom world that we live in now. But either way, we were talking about riding through the mountains, sipping some hot tea with your boo thing in the seat, in the passenger seat right next to you, smoking all the little good stuff. That's what we were talking about. But I can
Mhm.
definitely get that vibe from what you brought to the table on this one, because is that a thing? Do people that live in cold weather listen to slower music? I feel like people that live in cold weather, their whole lives are slower. Not in a bad
You
way.
know, I have a theory about it, and it's funny because I'm actually in cold weather right now. I'm in Rochester, Minnesota.
Whoa.
Um, yep, yep. So it's definitely worth testing out. But have you noticed Drake usually drops his music like, especially out like, okay, So Far Gone, what was it called? Comeback Season. Like some of his earlier works were dropped in the fall. Like uh I think So Far Gone came out tomorrow, or like 10 20 like 11 years ago tomorrow or something like that. And so because like the and he's from Toronto, so it's like a lot of songs on that tape were a lot, more slower, kind of a melancholy vibe to it. So but he's not the only artist. I've definitely, seen artists who drop music around this time, and it tends to be a little bit slower paced. And then I started to think about like, okay, well, why is that? Is it because people aren't going out to the clubs as much because it's
Right.
cold, or people are feeling more reflective, or maybe SAD, or could be a myriad of reasons. But I think that yeah, more somber music and slower music kind of does remind me more of like fall and winter. So
I would agree. It probably is just like you just said. I know Drake is huge into dropping a certain sound at certain times, and a lot of artists are, and the bigger ones are, and they have and there's a psychology to it. That's how it is, and
mm,
honestly, that's why I love talking to you so much, because you're about that and you're a part of it, and you like thinking about things like that. Most most guys at the level that we're at, they don't even fucking give that a second even glance. You know what I'm saying? They don't even. It doesn't go that far. But when you're trying to get somewhere, that's how you have to think. So I love it, man. I love it.
yeah, thank you, man. I mean, the goal, at least right now, as an underground artist, is to build a solid catalog of every type of vibe that I can, so that when that one song blows up and people discover, the rest of my catalog, I mean, there's something for everybody. There's something for every season. Because there's some artists that I really only listen to in the summers because they make summer music. There's some artists I'll only listen to in the winter, and things like that. So I took a lot of notes from Kendrick on that, because if you think about Kendrick's discography from Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, to Pimp a Butterfly, none of those sound the same. And not only do they not sound the same, but the subject matter is essentially slightly different as well. Like, with To Pimp a Butterfly, he's covering a lot more like of the like reflective racial issues, whereas Good Kid, Mad City, he's talking about his neighborhood. Damn, he's talking about like the state of the US more so, and kind of like, telling a story about his upbringing, but it from, a different perspective. And so, when you look back on his discography, you're not going to find a whole bunch of the same song anywhere. So that was kind of the goal. Like, I want every song to be a different vibe, a different theme, a different, style, so that, you know, essentially people always have a reason to listen to some Rama Kazi.
Yeah, you're making music to last, not just here today, gone tomorrow. I'm with that, man. And that's what it takes. Like I said, that's what it takes to be where a lot of guys want to be. The earlier you can get in that mindset, I think it's the better. I mean, I don't know. We get too caught up in the cookie cutter music, so to speak, and it doesn't take you anywhere. Like, you might get a hit here and there, but is it really fulfilling what you're trying to do? I don't know. Maybe for some
Mm-hmm.
guys, But if that's not your end goal, you might find yourself in a different destination than you wanted to be. And what do you do from there? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you actually brought up a good point earlier, when you said this tape was not anything that you were expecting. And I like that, because what I wanted to essentially do with my entire discography, I want to be able to experiment. I want to be able to try new things. And so I'm essentially prepping my fans to expect the unexpected from me. Whereas, like, if you get that one hit and like you've been making the same song forever, you have to continue to make the same song forever. Like, you can't make a bunch of you know all the generic, you can't make a whole bunch of generic trap songs and then decide you want to try house music randomly. Your fans are going to be upset. Even with Lil Wayne, Lil Wayne was a huge Nirvana fan growing up. He put out the one rock album after like all the Carters and the Droughts mixtape run, and people didn't receive it well. Even though, to be honest, I enjoyed it. I don't think it was bad. I think that you can definitely hear that influence, but he just didn't build that kind of audience. Like, his audience didn't expect that from him, and so yeah, I would rather have an audience that allows me to be as flexible as possible, so that because I feel like every artist, the deeper you get into music, the more you want to try some weird shit. Like, you don't want to stick to, well, let's make the same formula again. So
I agree. That it's funny you say that, because I was one of those fans of Lil Wayne that was very disappointed when he got into the rock stuff. But now looking back, it's like, damn, I was really being shallow. You know what I mean? And I really wasn't looking at it from any perspective of worth. I was just, I wanted to hear some Lil Wayne. I wanted to hear him spit some bars. I wasn't thinking about what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
But I mean, you can mature as a
definitely.
fan. You got to mature as a fan, or else you're probably not maturing as a person either. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
deep. It's deeper than it looks on the surface, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, 100%. And that's why, like, as an artist, you should make timeless music, because, if your fan doesn't like your project today, I mean, if it's timeless, it could just take them 5 years until they're in like the mental state, or even just the age to appreciate that specific project. They go back like, wow, I was tripping. Maybe this is a good project. I just wasn't ready for it. And you want to make sure that your music isn't dated by that time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that way of thinking, man. And that's pretty much it's kind of weird. Most of the guys that I place on this list, excuse me, even if I don't expect them from their music to have that type of mindset, that's usually what it ends up being. And it's I don't know what it is. It's like it's just like it's one of those intangible, unspoken connections. I feel like with, all right, I'm making this music because it's the music I want to make, and no matter what it is, it's going to attract a certain type of mindset, and that's what your music does to me. Because even like I said, even though I didn't really expect to like that EP, I really did, because of the content, not because of the feel, but because of the content. And yeah, man, it's just a beautiful thing. I'm nerding out right now. It's hardcore. Please stop me.
Nope. I'm gonna let you keep nerding out, man.
No, man. But for real, I think that I really do feel like that's what it is. It's just people on the same wavelengths somehow find each other through intangible factors, and music is one of them.
Oh yeah, music definitely builds those type of connections, man. And another thing, I think there's no point in putting all this money and all this time, all this brain power, resources into a song that you don't expect to last for beyond a wave or a season. Like, every song I make, I want it to be timeless, not just because I want to be a revolution, because I'm also cheap. I'm not gonna spend a couple $100 to make anything that I don't expect to last for a long time, or at least make more than that back.
Oh, I feel you on that, man. My wallet definitely feels you on that too.
Right,
Man,
right.
it's definitely a balancing act. But that being said, what direction are you going in for? Are you calling it COTS, or is it like COTS? I'm feeling like it's an acronym for something. But I'm asking you now, where are you going next?
So The acronym, to be honest, acronym is just more of the shorthand for me to just like, put it out there quick. But um, Children of the Sun, I consider an official body of work,
Oh,
right? Not just
I didn't even
more than
get that.
just
I
an
knew that name already. That's my fault.
yes. And that
Oh my gosh.
hence that's kind of where hopefully you can see the chakra. This is like a chakra, but at the same time, it's supposed to kind of look like a person in the sun.
I I think it's a dope logo, and like it's like the symbolism stuff is is something I think that is very dynamic to put into your works because it can also connect with people that aren't even looking for that. You know what I mean? Like you can still
Yeah.
put it there, even if that's not like, the person you're trying to draw in as your fan base. You can still use that type of stuff and get your own feelings out, because that's really what music is all about, is speaking to people
Hmm.
and getting across your message, no matter what it is, and no matter how people may take that message. Um,
Hmm.
but I love the meaning of it. But can you give me a little not sneak preview, but is this going to be a little bit more up paced? Something along those lines, huh? Where we going?
So I'm gonna try to keep it as vague as possible because I do like the aspect of you don't know what you're about to hear when you play some Rama Kazi, but it's gonna be dope. But yes, the next project, or at least the next piece of work I put out, is I want it to be very much hip hop, like because that's my roots, and I have a lot of fun. I feel like I had to put this out as almost like a catharsis, and really just expand my discography a little bit more. Um, but I was literally on my laptop earlier, just kind of browsing through some sounds, thinking through like, okay, what's the next, what's the next type of like I already have the picture in mind, but I want it to be very much hip hop.
So,
So
that was just for me. That was personal. I needed to know that,
oh,
but
of course, yeah,
but
it's going just think. Well, I wouldn't even say hot chicken is in as far as posse cut, but like just think I need to put out some bars. I need it to be a real cool chorus, but I need it to be something that makes you bob your head till you almost break your neck. That's what I'm going for.
I'm all for it. I'm ready for it already, but I'll give you some time. It's okay, no rush. But
Yeah, yeah.
video wise, for Children of the Sun, back to the
Hmm.
topic on hand. I've seen you put out some videos on Instagram. This is on me. I haven't been able to dive in and see if they're official videos or whatever. Or if you were just putting together clips. Are there official videos out for Children of the Sun?
Yep, yep. So
I'm behind.
95 Source Awards, 10,000 hours, and then we're actually working on one more music video for this project. I actually, it's a crazy story, but I ended up being able to get somebody to edit the this last music video, which I keep it as a surprise, but it's definitely one of the more popular songs on this project. But I mean, like I said, I had a lot more of a hand in everything with this video. So as far as like directing the videos and trying to get the right shots to even editing the videos myself. Um, these first two, that was me, like editing, um, creative direction, all that stuff, even locking down locations. So yeah, yeah.
That's dope. Would you mind if we watch, not maybe not a whole thing, but part of one of these videos right here, right now on this episode, because I want to see it, and I'll give you a little reaction clip that we can put out there later. No,
Absolutely. I'll let you pick whichever one you want, man.
no.
Which
That's not what you're gonna do. You're gonna pick, because first of all, I
oh,
don't know which ones have
all right.
videos. Second of
Okay.
all,
Okay.
I want you to pick the one that means the most to you, and so we can talk about it.
Okay. I'll do 10,000 hours because the second half of that, like where the beat switches, the music video switches too. I'll let you just see it, but I think at least watch through the second the beat switch, and then we can definitely talk about it because I think there's a lot to unpack there.
We're gonna do it right now. Let me get my share screen on. Get this video going. All right, you can see my shit, right?
Yep.
and away we go. So this is 10,000 Hours, the video by Rama Kazi.
There's this famous book called Outline.
Yeah, I gotta say, and I might pause this because I want to talk about certain parts if I notice anything. That video, this is a clip I saw on Instagram, and that pan shot of the water right there, I don't know why, but it reminds me of like the intro to like a 90s like sitcom or something, like Full House or some shit like that. It's like literally it transported me like back in time when I saw that. Sorry.
By Malcolm Gladwell. And in it he talks about the most common factors in every true success story. The most common one? Time. If I had a pair of wings, I could fly to heaven. Give me $1 or a dream and I'll die a legend. But if you ask me how to make it, the math is calculated. I was writing 16s back in 97 and still cooking rap niggas like a Armageddon. I put an arm and leg in. My heart was begging till karma set in, so hard-headed. Paying dues to a game to charge credit. She better recognize I started betting on myself. That's why my girl is always checking on my health. But way before you saw my record on the shelf, you find me in ciphers and I was destined for the belt. Like a state champ with the welterweight stamp. Through the leg cramps, 2 a day's camps, now I stay amped. You would think I make lamps. Learn to be consistent through the seasons like a fake plant. Who'd have thought I'd grow my own great branch?
Bruh, hold on. That's too much for me. I gotta stop it. It's like and this is probably the 4th time I've heard this song now. Maybe like 3rd or 4th time. I still catch a new shit every single time I hear it. I'm still catching something new. But I want to ask you the specific bar when you said, that's why my girl's always checking on my health, or that bar, those 2 bars there. I feel like there was an actual like instance or some experience you had specifically that made you put that bar in that song. Is that true or not?
Oh yeah. I mean, okay, so I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I'm the type of person who, like, I can sit at my computer for 20 hours trying to work on this one song and not even realize that much time has went by. And sometimes I might forget to eat, whatever the like. I don't know. Sometimes when I'm really tapped in and focused on something, I'm like that. But then there's other times where I can be really hard on myself, or sometimes I could have that little like, dang, like, good for them, but what about me? Like, when it comes to other artists and their successes, and it's some of the stuff that I had worked through these past months, just like coming to terms with, my journey and the struggles, and embracing the struggles that came with it, but also having a healthy balance of like, okay, like me working 20 hours a day is not going to get me to my destiny any faster than me working a healthy amount and putting out the things that are meant to be put out, like you can't force it. If it's meant for you, it's going to come, as long as you're being genuine about it. And so, she's definitely reminded me on multiple times where I've, just been real hard on myself and questioning, like, wait, am I doing the right thing? Is this music actually that good? Or like, am I just, in my own head? Or, I got to keep working until I have something that I believe is the biggest hit in the world, all that stuff. Like, my girl she brings me back to reality. Like, and I think it's very important when it comes to just like trusting the process, like, and accepting where I'm at, but also just knowing that like good things will come, like, and it's crazy because I was feeling all this stuff before the tape even dropped. So it's like, how do you know if it's good or not? Like, you haven't even dropped it. So
that's dope. And kudos to your girl too. I praise that, man. It takes a lot to find a good one that'll check in on you when you're doing something you love. I'll tell you that right now. And you hold on to that for dear life.
For dear life, man.
Yes, for sure. Let's move on. I gotta see.
Hence, trust the process, that's a fucking squad flex. I was just a hot mess till the summer 2020. That crushed the mindset, letting money cause stress. What you thought, I set a goal and had 100 yards left? No, I've been working for this. So many verses I've written on personal shit, it's hurting my wrist. But every curse that I get, to learn from it switched and turn to a gift. Life experiences earn you assists. Football taught me how my plays get stats. Hurdles taught me how to run laps around tracks. Either way I'm going, it's a powerful fact. I was putting in my hours for rap. Imagine that. I know it seems like it's been all of a sudden, but none of it was overnight. I've been focused this entire year. That's why I'm here, sharing tracks like a pioneer and getting better with my raps, swinging by mirrors. We going diamond, all we gotta do is find the ears without relying on our peers. Back before I had a beard and could barely buy a beer, I was hiding from my fears of being a failure to have my mama crying tears. That's why I chose science to apply in my career. But during high school, right around lunchtime, I was at the rapper table freestyling punchlines. West Troy Trez, we was dope but unsigned. The blessings never early, but it's always on time. And you know I couldn't do this song without mentioning Sloan. Dog, remember ever since you let me into your home, had me on your microphone over Jay Dilla beats, new Habez, rest in peace. Now my pencil is grown from back in Central.
Bro, man, I love this shit. I love how you put real life videos in this. You know what I'm saying? This is the perfect song to do something like this. And like that, for real. And then and what I'm about to say is not a slight at all, but I think you probably know this. A lot of people might look at this and be like, oh, this is like didn't put any money behind it or whatever. It's not flashy or whatever. But that's not the point of it. Like, that's not the point for every video. Like, I hate that there's like this stereotype behind music videos now that they all got to be lit and like all this crazy shit going on. You know what I'm saying? This is real. And this is like meant to draw you in. Am I correct? I'm not just going to talk shit about your own stuff, but that's what I get.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct, man. I made this video with the intention of it being raw and it being like real. Because the thing is, I'm not, my whole vibe in music is not to be flashy, is not to be like, trying to flex on people, because that's not who I am. And to be honest, that's not who most of these artists who are trying that shit are. Like, a lot of them are not like that, or we're not like that. And so the thing is, yeah, you can put money behind a video and it looks cool and people might watch it one time, but you're not going to feel anything. I want y'all to feel these 10,000. These are my 10,000 hours. That's the thing. These video clips that, I compiled and brought from, from one of my first performances to my most recent headline performance is my 10,000 hours. So, when y'all are hearing me talk about this stuff, you're seeing it too. And so these videos are actually in chronological order for the most part.
That's dope. That's dope. All right, well, I'm going to finish it. Well, we got less than a minute.
I realize nothing is accidental. March to your drum and your heart will match the tempo. To all the feature artists that was in my debut, you're part of 10,000 hours, baby. This is for you.
I know it's gonna fade out from there, so I'm gonna vibe to the rest of that later on. But I mean, if I could stand up without all my shit coming off and unplugging and knocking down my whole shit, I would, and give you a standing ovation, my friend. Because it's not like you put like I said, all this money and it looks so professionally done and all that. It's just real. That's really what I think of when I think of you, honestly. I think of a real human being that absolutely adores music. You know what I mean? And if that's you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and then that's what I want to get across to people, especially with this project. Like, again, I mean, I designed the cover art, I edited these videos, produced most of the project, because I want y'all to see what it's like inside the mind of Rama Kazi. I don't want it to be like 1,000 hands touch this, a label touch this, a bunch of money touch this, and it's just trying to impress as many people as possible, because I'm not here to impress people. I'm here to be myself and be real. But and I know I'm good at music. That's really the main thing. Like, I don't want to try to sugarcoat anything or cover it up and all this flashy stuff. I just want the core of this all to be my love for music.
I feel it every time I listen to you. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to get out of this screen share right now. What's going on?
The video doesn't want to go away.
There it is. I smoked a little too much today, I think. But no, man, phenomenal job. That's end of story there, honestly. And I think I want to talk about a little bit about. Well, I don't know. I don't know where I want to take this conversation right now. What do you want to talk about? Like, where do you? I'm leaving it at that. What do you want to talk about, my friend?
Oh, cool. Shoot, I'll be honest. I had a list of topics. I guess. Okay. The second topic I think is pretty good. Talk about like creative control, ownership. Because I
Okay.
feel like if there's any artists that are watching this, especially younger artists who are newer to the game, or just younger in general, I think this is really important information. It is very important to own your shit, not just to put out a hit, but to own it. Because I think one of the main things that a lot of artists or like a lot of, aspiring artists see in like their major artists, like, oh man, this person has so many followers. This person has, they got a hit song that like everybody loves. But then, on the back end, this person's probably still broke, or, they own probably 1% of the song and probably might put them in debt. And, you wonder how that happens is because one, if as an artist, if you put the minimal amount into the creation of the song and you're just kind of performing it, or like, you have ghostwriters, you got producers, you got people who, are doing everything creative around you, and you're the one who's just the face of the operation, you can't expect to become a millionaire off that. You can't expect to have royalties for the rest of your life off of that, And so a lot of artists don't see that. And so they end up getting sucked into deals where it's like, we're going to give you $1 million advance. And, they see that $1 million and it's flashing. It's like, oh, that's cool. $1 million, awesome. But they don't realize what that actually is. And then, you end up going into debt over that. So part of what I wanted to do with this project was to essentially own everything, because with the last project I put out, I didn't produce every single beat. I had at least a couple. I had a hand in basically doing a lot of stuff, and I did, at least half of the production. So I helped with some of the editing, but I realized, like, like Tinashe, people were talking about this on Twitter recently, like they were talking about Tinashe is a flop, because she doesn't, look at her record sales, look at this, look at that. But she writes and produces a lot of her own stuff. And she's making a great living off of that, because on the back end, all that money's coming back to her. That split sheet is a major artist's dream. And I want to be able to do that. I know J. Cole, same thing. Like, he was very apprehensive of he was very adamant on having, producing a lot of his own stuff. And I don't think that was just because he loves the sound of every single one of his beats. It's not just because of that. I also think, from a business note, he owns his catalog. If someone spins workout 1 million times, that's his million streams. He's not splitting that with anybody. And so it's not to say that having a team's not good. I mean, because I work with my team on this project, but you want to, at the end of the day, you want to be able to put something out there that will make you money forever, that will, your family can live off of and inherit and things like that. So, if you have I think there's another great example. I think his name is Jason Alexander. He was Simba from The Lion King. He sang as Simba on The Lion King. He was Simba's singing voice. So, Disney offered him a upfront check. I think it was like, I don't know. I don't want to make up a number. I think it was 50 mil, and he declined it for the royalties. And to this day, he's eating. Like, his mom declined it for him. That's what it was.
Well, that was the smartest thing I've ever heard, because I mean, you got Disney on there. I mean, $50 million. Yes, that sounds like a lot.
Sounds great.
But people underestimate these royalties, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And then another example, Pusha T. He, the whole ba-da-ba-bum-ba, I'm loving it.
Yes.
So apparently, he had either a hand in creating that or he created it himself. But unfortunately, he took the upfront check, and to this day, he knocks himself in the head over it. He you know, he'll say like, "Yeah, I took the upfront check. I was young. I didn't really know. Should have went for the royalties. Should have went for the back end."
It's so funny to me that came from Pusha T. It's like, yeah, you know,
Right,
the McDonald's theme. Yeah, Pusha T made that.
right.
Like, I don't even know like if it was just somebody like that was in the creative process that knew him or something, but like, who's going to Pusha T to create the McDonald's theme song? Especially that's been around for a long ass time too.
Yeah, at least over. I feel like 20 years, maybe like 15 at least.
Oh yeah, I'd be kicking
Yeah,
myself too if I was him. But I want to
yeah.
I want to ask you, do you think it's impossible for, let's just say for your example that you brought up, where, you know, somebody signs on for a big old upfront forward of money, $20 million, however much it is for an artist to make a certain amount of albums. Do you think it's possible to do that correctly? Or, and actually, you know, be smart with your money, because obviously that money is supposed to go towards making your albums. Most rappers probably buy a whole bunch of other shit with it. But if you didn't, do you think it's even possible to do it and like come out on top at the end, or you're just kind of stuck in this funnel of mayhem forever, taking into consideration that most likely the labels doing these things are pushing you to spend your money on other things than just music? Is that possible?
Oh yeah. Oh, I think it definitely is. I think the issue is it's using your money versus other people's money, and that's where it comes into play. Because like Russ, matter of fact, God bless today, Young Dolph, you know, indie artist, he was getting paid 100,000 per show, and he was able to build up. I think, you know, he did a strategic partnership with Empire to where, you know, he was still able to own all of his masters. So as a matter of fact, you know, go stream his music. You know, the money's going to him and his family. But yeah, you know, if there's definitely a lot of successful cases, enough successful cases of artists getting an advance and recouping everything plus more, because that's essentially what the model is supposed to be. However, you know, when you use other people's money, there's less opportunity for like, it has to go right, you know. Like if you lose profit from your own profit, it's like, man, well, you know what, I'll chalk it up to the game. Like, it is what it is. I'll come back strong. But if you lose someone else's money, you owe them that money, you know. Like, you can't just come back and be like, well, you know, everyone takes losses. Like, no, you need to figure out a way to get that back. Otherwise, you are still.
I didn't lose it. You lost it, and I need it back.
Right. Not, where's our money? Where's my money?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think it's the only thing about it is you kind of have to be successful when you take that kind of advance. And, you know, you can't necessarily predict human behavior as well as you would think. And so, you know, you can put out what you think is the greatest project of all time, and for some reason it just doesn't do well. It doesn't sell high. And I mean, if that's chance, I mean, you can eat that a lot better when you have put yourself in a position to be able to take that loss yourself, as opposed to now you got the label taking this loss, and, you know, they don't like taking losses. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because I want to, something you said, it caught my attention when you said that's how it's supposed to work. When, you know, where the artists are actually supposed to recoup their money, which, yes, that is how it's supposed to work. But that's not how anybody in a place of power or instruction is teaching these guys how it works. That doesn't exist. Well, other than, you know, a very few. But that's the problem. It's like, yes, this design is put in place to help everyone, but it doesn't matter if it was designed that way if that's not how it's being followed through on. So it's such a shame, man. I can only imagine how many independent guys we never even heard of that have more talent than anything we've ever heard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is with labels, like once an artist accepts that $1 million advance, what the label sees is that they have a customer. Now it's up to the artist who is the customer. The customer can either be the audience or the artist themselves. It depends on whether the artist recoups or not. Because if the artist does recoup, then that means the audience was the customer. That means that is the person who, those are the people who paid the dues, and that's where the money is coming back from. But if not, then the artist is the customer. And that's who the rest of the money is supposed to come from. Regardless, even if they have to go back to working a 9 to 5, I mean, the label's gonna get their money back. And so it's just, you want to be the hustler, not the customer. And so that's the main thing that I've, unfortunately, the majority of artists that get signed to labels end up being in that position. And so, even in the independent game, if you see, like, if you're an indie artist, a lot of the services, especially PR, promotion, all that stuff costs money. So to be honest, in a lot of cases, the artist ends up being the customer anyway, unless you can build it yourself, unless you can, you got a team that y'all have all the parts of the machine. I mean, for a while, the artist is going to have to be a customer until he can make his audience the customer. So
that's actually a really profound way of looking at that. I've honestly never heard it put that way. It makes complete sense. It's just like taking out a loan. Like,
yeah,
why do we even call it an advance? It's not an advance. You're not getting your paycheck in advance. You're literally taking a loan from somebody and you have to pay it all back. It's just a twist of words to confuse people that it's something positive.
Because loan sounds uglier. That's why advance sounds a little bit prettier.
That's funny, but I like that, man. I'm gonna use that. I'm taking that wisdom with me.
There you go.
But yeah, man, it's all a dirty world out here. Everything is designed with good intentions, I feel like, but most stuff is used for bad intentions, and it's a sad thing. It shows the true character of humankind.
That actually brings up another topic that I was thinking heavily about recently, especially with metaverse, social media addiction.
Oh,
yeah, because Facebook, as we know, Zuckerberg created Facebook as just like a college meetup type, essentially like a Harvard dating app. But when it blew up to what it did, and when Instagram and all these different platforms came along, people started to capitalize on the social media addiction. And it comes down to the dopamine stream. Like, dopamine is a neurotransmitter in your brain that's responsible for like reward, motivation, addiction, desire. And so we're at a point in society now that, have you ever just caught yourself opening up Twitter, Instagram, like real quickly, like not even intentionally? It's a habit. It's like a fidgeting, like, oh wow.
absolutely. Every day. It's so funny. This actually just happened to me earlier today. My phone died. And literally within probably about 30 seconds, I picked it back up and tried to turn it on. I was like, oh shit, it's dead. It's scary. And every time it happens to me, I catch myself. I'm like, God damn it, I need to stop. Just put this phone down. It is scary.
Yeah.
Because even if you're aware of it, it's impossible. Like, I'm aware of that, but I'm consumed by it, man. It's tough. It's tough because I have to use it. It's a tool. It's a business tool. I use it for music. I use it for my 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So I have to use it, and it just makes it so hard to put it down.
Oh yeah. There's this documentary. I was trying to remember what it was called, but there's actually a documentary on Netflix about this and how the whole algorithm works and how they keep you on your phone. So like
The Social Experiment.
Also, have you the Social Experiment.
Yes.
So there's a segment of like, this kid, he puts his phone down, and now they're thinking of what the metaphorical people in the back are thinking about what notification to send him that he'll actually open his phone back up. And so I've noticed certain things, like I got a notification yesterday. The official Instagram account has a new post up. Check it out. and it was just it looked like a picture of like the icon itself. I was like, why would I check that out? Like, nice try. You're not gonna get me today.
It's crazy. And that movie or documentary, I think everyone in the world should be required to watch that. I really do.
Oh yeah.
Even if it didn't change a thing, it just makes more people aware of how bad that shit is and how it just can control and consume your entire life, basically.
Yeah, and how intentional it is now. Because I think back then people weren't really looking at it like businesses weren't really looking at it as something that's a useful tool. It was like, yeah, it's social media, but then they started to see like we can keep people tapped in. This is why don't we just take advertising and commercials and things that we were trying to keep people tapped into TV, let's just bring it to social media because people are already addicted to this. And so now you have algorithms. Man, I used to work a little bit in tech recruiting, and there's technology, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially it's looking at what people, it analyzes things like how people feel about a specific topic. Like let's say you had Papa John's pizza, and your phone knows your location. They know you're at Papa John's, and you send a tweet out, or you have a conversation with your friend like, yeah, this pizza's not that great. It logs that information is logged in. So you're probably not going to see Papa John's ads again. Or if you talk about Domino's, like Domino's is awesome, you'll start seeing Domino's ads. Like just for saying that, I'm sure the next few days, if I scroll Facebook, I'll see some Domino's ads. It's like it's really intense now. Like they're I really wish I remember what it was called, but everything revolving around advertising on social media is intentional to a neuroscience and psychological degree.
Absolutely. It's programming. We're being programmed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's what's on some Kanye shit. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
When people say Kanye West is crazy, they couldn't be further from wrong, or further from correct. I think that's the way to say that. Yeah, you could not be further from correct.
Right.
Whatever.
I had to think about it for a second.
Don't matter. But that man is a fucking genius. And did you see his interview on Drink Champs?
Drink Champs? Absolutely.
Promote another podcast, but it's not like I'm really competing. It's okay. And so, but I'm not gonna lie. Like I used to be on the whole Kanye might be a little out there trip, and he is an interesting guy. He's a quirky guy and all that type of stuff. But that doesn't mean he's crazy or he's odd. And he even said it himself. Like people say that it's a form of silencing somebody, and it's so true. But kind of back to what you were saying, but it goes along in lines with you saying, the artist turns into the consumer in the cases where they don't recoup that. It's the same thing. Like now companies have become like social media's target audience. People don't really even matter anymore. People are just used as a tool to get more and more companies to sponsor shit, put ads on their sites or within the social media. And that's really all it is. People are just pawns in this whole big scheme of what seems to be not real at times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a food chain. We're at, essentially the average user is at the bottom of the food chain. And so you got the average user who's just scrolling to have a good time. Then you got content creators like you and I who, we're trying to get these average users to be our customers. Meanwhile, businesses who are advertising their products to us, whether it's better cameras, better microphones, artist promotion services, things like that, they're advertising to us. So we're supposed to be their customers. But they are actually social media's customers. So like Instagram, Facebook, Google, their customers are like essentially, the people who are trying to sell to us while we're trying to sell. It's just a bunch of downstream selling, and they're at the top of the food chain.
It's insane, man. It's insane how deep shit like this really goes when you start thinking about it. And then you're like right now, I was trying to come up with ways of even saying that. And it's like, am I even smart enough to talk about this? You know what I'm saying?
The rabbit hole goes real deep,
Uh,
man. It's like,
it's fucking nuts. I'll say that, and it's scary as
yeah.
hell. But at the same time, it is a necessary thing, and that might sound weird, but you know, there's you can't stop progress. You know what I'm saying? That's the age-old saying. You can't stop progress, and if that's where progress is going, you kind of got to learn to adapt to it, and that's at least the mindset I try to take. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you try to, I don't know, convince yourself that, hey, this isn't killing me slowly, and it's still a tool I need to use.
Well, first of all, this isn't anything new. The general concept isn't anything new. Like if you go look back to the Bible, Jesus had essentially helped people start a temple, right? He left and he comes back, and the temple is now a marketplace. And so Jesus got upset and flipped the table and everything like that. But wherever people are, the marketplace follows. That's just wherever people are, sellers will essentially follow. This is no different. It's people realize, hey, everyone's on social media. Let's bring the marketplace there. So now Facebook has a marketplace, Instagram has a marketplace. I mean, it was inevitable, Any other platform I'm sure TikTok is only a matter of time before there's a marketplace. When you have people in one location, there's going to be people who are going to try to sell. And then there's going to be, because there's going to be people who are trying to sell, then you're going to have these platforms offering opportunities for these people to sell for their price. Like same thing as when the businesses like a Buffalo Wild Wings or a restaurant outside your business, they still have to pay the lot owner like rent, in order to even have their business there. So it's just like Instagram is the lot owner and Buffalo Wild Wings is the content creator, or however you say, like the seller. So it's historical, man.
Who do you think suffers the most in this circle of ugly? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it just that standard user that, doesn't really even see what's happening? Or is that an ignorance is bliss type of situation? You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know which one is worse. Knowing it.
So I feel like the people who don't know it have it the worst, especially when it's the people who don't know it, but they're feeding money into that system unknowingly. If you're feeding money into the system, like if you're paying for, promotional things and things, but that this is how the system works, more power to you. That is what you want. But for the people who don't realize that they're a customer, but they're still being a customer, I mean, you're not going to restrict yourself. So for me personally, man, I actually have a time limit on Twitter. I haven't set one for Instagram because, to be honest, I don't really, I'm not big on that. But Twitter's my vice, I would say, because I see a lot of funny content on there. And I'm more of a like words person, so I have to set a timer. And when I don't remember how long it is, but basically when it's like 5 minutes left, it'll let me know, and then it shuts me out. And then I have my own password for it, but I have enough discipline to like, if it shuts me out, I can think about like, wait, do I actually need to get back on Twitter? Was I doing anything important? It's just a reminder, because sometimes I get lost in like how long I'll just look up and be like, wow, I've been on this for 5 hours. Like I need to chill. So this just kind of sets that for me, like, hey, it's been this much time that's passed. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Thank you for reminding me. So I think that, yeah, you just got to, set your own boundaries for whatever it is.
It's tough, man. And, we can only control what we do personally. And it's hard enough to do that. So I don't understand why everybody else tries to control what other people do. Like, makes no sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we doing here? We can't even control ourselves. And now you're out here trying to dictate what someone else is saying and doing on whatever it is. Wild shit.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm getting more and more cynical every single day, and I don't know if I like it.
I mean, I think that just comes with age and conversations and experiences. I mean, I don't think anyone gets less cynical over the years.
If there is, I need to meet that person because I need some help. But
the secret to life.
Yes, for sure. God damn, we are like going on an hour and 20 minutes right here, man.
Oh wow.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Mhm.
and
Zoom's
again,
got us now.
yes, exactly. Zoom, we are the consumers. Zoom is selling us some shit. But I wanted to say this before getting off because this is the first episode where I've had a repeat guest, and I am so happy that it's come to that point. Not to say the show's been happening for so long and I have tons of episodes, but this is really just the kind of community, well, it's virtual community, but whatever. The community that I'm trying to create is just people that want to grow in whatever they're doing, in this case being music, and just willing to have open discussions about anything, because growing as people means you're going to grow in your career. I promise you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't sound related, but it is. I fucking promise to those listening. So I appreciate you coming back and talking with me again. I would be happy to have you back anytime, man. I feel I could talk to you about anything, honestly. That's kind of why I asked you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what do you want to talk about?
Hey man, this is my drink champs, man. I definitely enjoy these conversations, and I feel like there's not a limit. Like I don't always just want to talk about music, or it's like I like to talk. Like music is a reflection of self, and so this is where my self is at. So yeah, I'm enjoying these, man.
I want to say this because that actually made me think of something else. Like, that is a very important thing of being an artist too, is being able to have intelligent and open discussions about anything. Because like, if you're always just talking about music, what is your content? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you
You're
actually
making music about making music?
Yeah, like what are you actually talking about in your music? And honestly, I'm gonna say this. I don't know if you're a Logic fan or anything like that. I don't know. I'm not. I used to be, not anymore, because I'm not gonna get into that. But that's what I feel kind of about him. If he wasn't talking about, like, he talked about racial issues a lot and stuff, which is fine, but I feel like that can be hammered to death, because like it has a negative connotations to it, and I just don't like listening to a lot of music that has negative connotations to it. I don't know, it's just me, but yeah, man, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, man. That's why I'm not a fan. I had to stop rapping about I'm the best rapper out, without a doubt. No one is better than me. I'm a veteran. I was like, no one, like, who's gonna listen? Like, who wants to listen to someone talking about music? It's like,
Yeah, man.
It's not something that can't feel that.
It's like a double mirror. It's like when you got two mirrors, one in front, one in back, and then it's just a tunnel to nowhere. It's just like that.
And it also, exactly. And it also just tells me, like, either you don't have anything actually to talk about, or you're ashamed of what you do have to talk about. In that case, I mean, why are you making music?
Exactly. I like it. And not to say there isn't a time and a place for it. Everybody's got to talk their shit every so often. I'm talking about the consistent, every record's about the same thing. That type of thing is I'm too old for that shit, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And that's the thing. It's not necessarily about like having a deep social meaning every single time. It's more just about, like, when you have a song, it's supposed to make you feel something or think something, right? And if it makes you feel something, you just make it fun. But like, it's not fun to listen to somebody brag about how great they are as a rapper. Well, show me. Your work should show me that you're that great.
Yes, completely agree. And I, again, can't thank you enough for joining me again. We got to get out of here. We're over the time limit. Maybe if I have returning guests from now on, I have to extend my time limit, because we get deeper and deeper into the friendship, man. We're dogs now.
Exactly, homies. Matter of fact, I'll send you the next song I make. I'll send it to you just so we can continue our interview.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm ready for it. But again, I appreciate it, my man.
For sure. Everyone
listening. Actually, no. Before we go, what message do you want to give to your fans or the people listening? I always got to do that. I almost forgot.
This, man, trust the process. For anyone, not even just artists. I want people to, like, realize where you are in life right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. So and you know, a lot of artists like I got a whole bunch of metaphors for this, but a lot of artists, especially that are where they always wanted to be, sometimes miss where they used to be because that was a period of motivation and a period of hunger. And so, I mean, you know, if you don't appreciate where you are in the present, like I talk about in the song Get Out, you're gonna always look back, you know? So trust the process, enjoy where you're at.
Beautiful. Everyone listening, I love y'all for watching, or not just what listening, but listening and watching. I love y'all for checking this out. Take it easy. Take it easy, everybody. Go listen to the
Yep.
Deserving playlist.
There it is.